From Ohio State defensively, Gabriel looking to take advantage with a deep ball. Again, separation, Johnson.
Smith, 3rd and 20. Howard, a lot of time coming off. Howard's going to run for it. Time runs out, and that'll do it. Oh, my goodness. Welcome to the Big Ten, Oregon. For a Nittany Lion win. Got it. Penn State in overtime.
Take that, Earl. Hey, Coach Frank.
Welcome in, Big Ten backers. We had another great week of college football, man. Overtimes all over the place. Games coming down to the wire. What's going on, Beeve? What's going on, backers? How we doing?
Oh, man, that was a game for the centuries. It was the Out West Nutcracker game of the week, and, man, those were not filberts they were cracking. Those were Buckeyes. Holy shit,
I just want to know, is Ryan Day have any nuts left? He's had a lot of those nutcrackers the last few years.
Yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into big game Ryan Day in a minute. But let's talk about those damn Ducks, brother.
All right, let's talk about them, man. We had a couple of these Out West Seafest games of the week, man. Just a little rank on. Well, one of them wasn't rank on ring action, but the game kind of was. But anyways, man, let's talk about that Ohio State versus Oregon game. Number 3, Ducks in the House of Loud. Autzen Stadium stuns the Silver Bullet Buckeyes in a thriller. Oregon wins it 32 to Ohio State's 31, man. And what surprised me out the gate, the first thing I want to talk about is Jordan James, man. Lit up that Buckeye defense on the ground, had 115 yards and a score for the Ducks in front of a record-setting crowd of 61,128. Autzen Stadium was rocking.
There was plenty of Buckeyes in the house, but the ones that were there for the Ducks made some noise. Dylan Gabriel was out of this world, dude, completing 23 of 34 passes, 341 yards, 2 touchdowns. But hey, that's not it. Mr. Heisman moment himself ran for 32 yards on 4 carries and that crucial touchdown, man. First time ever being an AP top 2 ranked team. Historic victory for the Kings of the Big Ten now. Man, this has got to suck for those SC fans that didn't want Oregon in the conference. They lose, and the Ducks win. A big ass Big Ten game.
Big time win for the Ducks, man. Big time it. Man, I'll talk about Will Howard, man. Will Howard played out of his mind until the last drive of the game, but he threw for 336 yards, had 2 touchdowns, added one on the ground himself, man. Smith had 9 catches, 100 yards, and a score. Man, this game, you knew it was going to be a big one at halftime.
Back and forth.
Back and forth, man. It was crazy. Oregon, much to the finish, Oregon had a 22-21 lead after Dylan Gabriel found Tez Johnson for a 48-yard touchdown pass, which I think we've seen in that highlight, Beef.
Oh, yeah, and who did he beat? Denzel Burke. That's a theme of the game. Denzel Burke.
Burke met Burnt. Changed his name to Burt in this game, man.
Burnt Burke, man. That's what we'll be calling him from now on. Unless he shows out, man. He was not playing to first-round potential. He was playing like it was hurt. Like his sophomore year, playing through injuries. That's what it looked like to me. But Oregon capitalized when Derek Harmon forced Quinshon Junkins that fumble. Man, that big body Derek Harmon is always in the backfield. And he just, like, pulled down with his weight. And Junkins just couldn't hold it. Quinshon Junkins couldn't hold the ball, man. All that weight of Harmon coming down. Man, they recovered the fumble on the Ohio State 28. And that was huge for those Ducks, man.
Huge 6 lead changes in this game. That led to one of the lead changes, even though they kind of missed on the field goal. But man, this game was wild. You had a botched snap on a field goal, almost returned for 2 points. You had a
extra point. Yeah.
Yeah, an extra point. You had a 2-point try that didn't make it. Man, this game was wild. 6 lead changes, man, in this game. But man, Oregon towards the end. Let's get to the kind of the dramatic ending here. Oregon capitalized when when Atticus Sappington.
Man, that sounds like a guy from.
I know he sounds like a Spartan, doesn't he? Even though they just whipped the Spartans' ass last week. But yeah, hit a chip shot field goal, man, with a 1:47 left. And they gave Oregon that 32-31 lead. Man, oh man.
All the shades of that Georgia playoff game coming back. Plenty of time to take it down the field. But guess what? Ohio State had that game-winning opportunity. Just couldn't do it again. As soon as Emeka Egbuka got that catch to put the Buckeyes in Jaden Fielding's range, a pass interference on the freshman, Jeremiah Smith. Man, that was a bang-bang play. Could have gone either way. I've seen it called. I've seen it not called. It's a shame that it did, but Buckeyes can't blame the referees, man. We can't do that every time. There was plenty of other opportunities to win the game. He caught the ball, and it sure looked like they were going for the win at a chip shot field goal. But guess what? 15 yards back, man.
I think the hit was probably a little bit more dramatic than what it really was. But the guy was kind of falling. He was kind of on his heels.
He was coming into Smith too. Yeah.
He was trying to recover because he seemed like Smith was going to blow by him. So I think it was a combination of the two. But the way it looked, man, I don't blame the refs for pulling that flag out at all.
For sure, split second. I would have thrown it if I was a referee too. And I think it's just got to be consistent, like everything else we talk about. Man, the referees need, like Joel Klatt talks about it a lot. We need to have a national referee body rather than conferences controlling it because things are just so inconsistent. It's hard to get. If
Buckeyes want to whine about bad play calls, man, that first catch to the tight end was definitely interception. So calls go both ways, Buckeye fans. Absolutely. Calm down, dry the tears, quit blaming the stripes, and just have your team play better, man. The defense was not up to the task. It looked terrible at times. I'll give credit to the offense. I think they had some undisciplined moments. The fumble, a lot of offside.
But what else could they have done? What could Will Howard have done better?
But Will Howard, other than taking a knee a little bit sooner to at least get an attempt at a field goal, that's the only thing he did wrong. It just happens to be a really huge moment. But yeah, man. Anyway,
you saw him put his hands on his head in that intro, and even the announcer was like, "Oh my goodness, couldn't believe it."
Yeah, man, it's hard to play Monday morning quarterback or Sunday morning quarterback for this show, and try to put yourself in that situation. But man, you got to have some kind of internal clock that knows that like 6 seconds is not a long time, especially if you're scrambling. Crazy,
especially for an experienced quarterback like that. I don't see Dylan Gabriel making a mistake like that.
But he balled out, man. Like other than that play, like he balled out. And if you had a question if their quarterback can win a game for him, I would say it's pretty damn close.
And their offensive line played great.
Yeah, and they had 2 injuries on the offensive line, but they still kind of block well. I mean, the defense was, to me, was one question for her. But you could say that for Oregon too. Like I guess that kind of goes both ways. It was that close of a game, right? So you could probably knock, I guess, Oregon's defense too.
Yeah, but this is a history for Ohio State. Just terrible in big games on defense. And it's Ryan Day, it's Jim Knowles, and they tried to play like they played against Kent State. We were going to go man on man. Well, this wasn't Kent State. This was the Oregon Ducks, man. You can't just be like, hey, we're going to have our corners on an island all game long, and our defense is going to get pressure with 4 men. Man, you wanted to see the Bucks penetrating those Ducks, man. And I don't mean interspecies erotica. You just want to see the defense getting in that line and getting after Dylan Gabriel to make. We don't
want to hear about what you do in your post-depression time after watching the Ohio State game.
Got to do something to pass the time after stuff like that, man.
Damn. You need an upper, huh? That's your upper?
No, I go further into downers, man. I just keep reading Twitter and all the negative comments from Buckeye fans.
All right, man. Another big question for you. We kind of talked about this, but obviously Howard, he tucked the ball, ran, didn't have the good internal clock. Not a good look there at the end. I think there was some mismanagement by Ryan Day with the clock too, but he still put him in position to win the game. I would say there's some coaching issues in a game like this, right? Yeah. But there was a lot of player execution issues for me as well in this game. We talked about Burke, but man, this game was still a thriller. Do you think this is a preview of what the Big Ten title game will be?
I can't even think about that, man. Could you how would you say that with Burke playing like he did? He couldn't even tackle Evan Stewart when he was on his back for 30 yards. He could have pushed him out of bounds. He could have tackled him at the legs. No, he tries to play handsy with him, jumps on his back, and lets the dude drag him for 30 yards. And this is big game Ryan Day, losing the ones that matter. We got ourselves a new John Cooper here. 1-5 versus top 5 teams. 0-2 versus Oregon. 2-4 in bowl games. 0-3 against the SEC. 1-3 against Michigan. You're paying this man this much money. You have Jim Knowles, the $2 million man that wants to play defense like he's playing Kent State, not getting any pressure, not doing anything differently. Yeah, you can out-muscle, out-athlete Kent State, Marshall, but you can't do that against the Ducks. You need to come up with something different. Devise a plan to get some pressure. There was zero pressure. Oregon, though, got to give them credit. They are number one. They're the number one team in the nation right now. Why not? Boise State, number 2.
That defensive line was definitely disappointing, man. I think with Ohio State, you should be able to, with a 4-man front, get some pressure, and they couldn't, man. You shouldn't have to blitz if you're Ohio State. But that offensive line definitely played good. But if you want to say you're an elite Ohio State team and you can't get pressure with 4 guys on the line, when Ohio State's at its best, the 4 men up front can get pressure on their own. They don't need much help.
Yeah,
and
well,
that's
you saw
kind of a difference.
on that Dylan Gabriel 27-yard touchdown to just take the sails out of Ohio State's defense. Tuimoloau was inside. He was covered up by another. I can't remember who was outside of him, but there was someone that went in motion. He had to go guard the tight end that went. I believe it was Ferguson. So that left TJ Tuimoloau outside. He had to have outside contain. He bites hard on James on the fake, tackles James, and guess what? Dylan Gabriel rushes to a touchdown. No communication on defense, bad plays, miscommunication on the plays that matter the most in the game cost Ohio State the game. And Dylan Gabriel managed to hit 4 receivers for 30-plus yard catches. Ohio State had allowed 0 all year. 4, like their whole receiving crew, besides the dude that got kicked out for spitting, had 30-plus yards receptions. And he probably would have had one too had he not got kicked out.
All right, but if you're venting enough, let's hit the comments and see what they got to say about this, man. Because this was a big game. Let's see. Backers in the house. How bad is this loss for Ohio State? We just talked about it. Now they're kind of on a they don't have a lot of wiggle room, right? Like they still have everything.
Buckeye Hicks.
Buckeye Hicks, yeah. Still have a lot of wiggle room. They can still win the Big Ten. They can still get probably a rematch against Oregon. But man, that Penn State game in a couple weeks and Nebraska next week, or not next week, the week after.
Mm-hmm.
It
after
can
that
be
bye week.
Yeah, they're on thin ice, man. But they still have everything in front of them. Looks like he says there's a bad call. The lucky ass Ducks, man. We talked about that already.
Goes both ways, man. Yeah.
What a shit show when it counted.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true. When it counted the most, when I need you the most, Urban Meyer said, "What are you gonna do?" Well, they shit down their legs when we needed them the most.
Bunch of suck eyes. They definitely were on defense in this game. I gotta agree with you there, man.
Offense was great though. Not what I was expecting. The offensive line to protect, Will Howard to play great until the last 6 seconds.
Yeah. James.
That one, actually, he had that snap, that turnover.
I wouldn't say nation's best, but he's definitely one of the best of the Big Ten. I'll give him that. I won't go nation's best just yet.
He said one of, right? Didn't he?
I still won't go that far. Gabriel moved to number 3 in all-time yards. That's impressive, man. But I always laugh at these things when I hear about this with quarterbacks. Because it's like one thing is kind of cool, but the other thing is like you're here because you don't have a lot of NFL stock. And I'm not trying to take a knock at him. But there's a reason why you're around forever.
Yeah.
But he's still damn good. He's a great college quarterback.
He just had himself a Heisman moment last night.
Yep. He might take that thing to the house too. He might take that thing to the hizzle. What up, Brad? How we doing?
Brad. What up?
And then that was that looked like a Dak moment there at QB for Ohio State. That's kind of
That was almost as bad as as Miami not taking a knee.
That's pretty great. Let's see. Looked like an NFL Buckeye quarterback. I don't know. CJ Stroud, man, you gotta take him out of that equation.
Can't seal the win, I think he meant. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Definitely
Ohio State could never seal a win, man.
Not in top 5 games. You saw it. The graphics 1-7.
Yeah, Boise State, man. That close loss to Oregon is looking damn good. Not wrong there, man. All right, let's get back to the show. Let's move on, man. This game was epic.
Hey, anyone from the comments, should Oregon be number 1? They gotta be, man. They have to be number 1.
I think there's probably a healthy debate between the two, man. Texas still looks like
it's hard to take Texas down after a win like that, right?
Yeah, Texas is it. It's definitely Texas and Oregon, though.
But Oregon's got the better wins.
Yes,
they got to jump ahead. I mean, obviously, not even close. You shouldn't even think about that. You shouldn't.
I wouldn't say it's not even close. It's close. It's close.
It's not even close. Oregon's number 1. If not, it's a farce. Like, there's no reason for. Like, what are you judging that on then? 2 top 25 wins. One of them against the number 2 team in the nation.
I mean, they're on the road in Ann Arbor. They just beat the snot out of Oklahoma.
Yeah, but what's Ann Arbor?
And it doesn't matter. There's still a lot in front of it. Who cares, man? At the end of the day, who cares?
It's 1. I care. Number 1.
All right, let's talk about another great game, man. Let's talk about another great game, which no one saw this great game coming, not even me. Purdue has been absolutely terrible, but Illinois has to get the win in overtime versus the struggling Boilermakers, who finally show a pulse for the first time since week 1. But Illinois pulls it out 50-49, man. Altmaier completed 20 of 34 passes for 379 yards, 3 touchdowns. Josh McCray ran for 78 yards and 2 touchdowns and caught a scoring pass as well, not to be outdone. And, man, Bryant, their wide receiver, he's been balling out. He had 104 yards too. But, man, who wasn't scoring in this game, Beef? I'm pretty sure if they would have put us in some pads, we might have had a touchdown with a freaking 99-point ball game.
Should have taken the over in this one. This was not on anyone's bingo card. Illinois was given 25 and the hook, I believe, in this game by Vegas. Brown, the redshirt freshman, coming in, making his first career start with Hudson Card, sidelined with a concussion. He rushed for 118 yards on 17 carries and completed 18 of 26 passes for almost 300 yards, 297 yards. 3 touchdowns, dude.
I got a question. Card has struggled.
9 yards in the first half. 9.
I got a question, man. Card has struggled. Is this the new guy?
Dude,
is he the new starter?
Lines, yes. This was against a rated team. Like, yes, until he proves that he is terrible. Keep the dude in. Look at that stat line. That's insane.
Dude, that is absolutely insane, man. All right, so here's one crazy thing about Purdue, right? They're getting handled like they normally do. They're just getting shoved in lockers like they have the last 4 weeks. They're down
dropping soap in the shower.
Exactly, just getting hammered. They're down 27-3 at halftime. And then all of a sudden, something happens. Was it the quarterback? Did they smell the roses? Did they get a little hit a little too hard? But anyways, they launched the comeback, man. And then Walter said they executed with panic. Man. And then the Boilermakers scored 2 TDs in 8 seconds, man. A 53-yard pass from your boy Brownie to Edrin. And then a sack on Altmaier was picked up by Nyland Green. It caused a fumble, and it was picked up by Will Help. My bad. Returned 16 yards for a TD, man. You're talking about you gained 14 points in 8 seconds.
14 points in 8 seconds. Man, Purdue cut the lead to 40-35 with 1 minute, 35 seconds left. Man, this was cardiac all the way. This was a great game. 2-yard run by Maccabee to cut that lead. After that, Ben Freehill recovered the onside kick. Another onside kick in a Big Ten game. And the Boilermakers scored again. Illinois' David Alano made a 38-yard field goal as time expired to tie it at 43 after Purdue just rallied to take the lead for the first time. Holy hell. Illinois escapes this one. Impressive, man. Tell me
Man,
about
Luke
Allmeyer.
Allmeyer, man, he threw a 25-yard touchdown pass in overtime to Pat Bryant, and Dylan Rosiak sacked Purdue's Ryan Brown on a two-point conversion attempt to give Illinois that 50-49 victory. Illinois, but man, they had to go for two. Purdue actually scored. Do you like Ryan Walters' call to go for two?
I always hate the going for two in overtime, man. Play to win the game. I think that that's just giving it away. I mean, your chances of getting that are low. I don't know what the analytics are telling you, but I always, play for another play. Give yourself a chance. Let your defense win the game. You were playing good. Why not? Why risk it there? Just kick the damn ball. Take it into a second overtime. Who cares?
I kind of like it and I kind of don't, man.
I hate it.
I feel like the majority of the time it doesn't go your way. Now, like you said, Walters was like, we were in control of the game at that point. That's why we wanted to. We wanted to get this win. I hate losing.
Yeah, that's why you don't do it. Give yourself a chance to make another play.
Can't hate losing if your name's Ryan Walters or Ryan Day, man. It's just
Ryan's and losing. Big games, close games. Holy hell.
It's just standard issue.
We need a crying Ryan Michael Jordan mix there. Someone put that together for us.
But man, what a game. No one saw it coming. I was expecting a blowout. Looked like it was well on the way. We talked about the crazy comeback and the 14 points in 8 seconds for Purdue. Man, I'm kind of glad Illinois won the game just to kind of keep them ranked. But man, it was kind of cool to watch Purdue kind of give them a ball game.
We're going to get into Penn State in a little bit, but I got something else for you to show you real quick, just to see what you think. I kind of tiered out the Big Ten, and just based on wins, right? It's not based on anything else.
It's not a tier, it's a standing then. A standing tier.
But I put them in tiers basically for it. So you got 3-0 Oregon, right? We know that. 3-0 Indiana. Man, oh man, what a season for Curt Cignetti. I know they're on a bye week right now, but we got to give the Hoosiers some love. 3-0 Penn State. So what's up with this tier 2 or standings 2, I guess we should say. The teams with one loss. Which ones have a chance to come back and claw back in this thing? Obviously, we got Ohio State.
I mean, Ohio State, I think, obviously, in this game against Oregon, I think, Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, probably even Georgia, even though they have a loss to some of the best teams in college football, right? And they lost on the road by 1 point. So I'm not going to take too much away from Ohio State. To me, they're the best out of the one-loss teams.
The best of the one-loss teams, so above Georgia?
I would say either right in front or right behind Georgia. I think they're in front of Alabama. Alabama keeps struggling, man. Tennessee struggled again with the Gators, so I don't think Tennessee's as good as advertised. So I think they belong somewhere just around Georgia. I don't know if they're in front of Georgia or right behind Georgia. My opinion, but I still think they're the best 2-1 team of the group. Then I think it's hard to tell from there, man. I feel like Nebraska has a shot. Michigan with Tuttle maybe has a shot. I mean, what Iowa did this weekend against Washington, who knows? And then Illinois, like I was high on them and their defense, but after they let Purdue what they did to them, we just talked about that game. I don't know, man.
I'm going to go with Wisconsin, man, showing some fight. They might be a team that just starts to peak at the right moment.
Yeah, I feel like, we'll get into them later, but they're fighting their sea legs, man, after losing their quarterback.
Yeah. And, I'm going to go with your Badgers, man. I think that they're going to find a way back in this thing.
Problem is they're 2-2 or what is it, 3-2 overall?
Yeah, 3-2 overall. It doesn't matter. This is Big Ten. We're talking Big Ten here. You can get to the playoffs with 2 losses, and you can get in there with 1 loss if you get the conference championship game.
Yeah, fair enough, man. All right, so the 2-2 teams in the Big Ten, who do you like better, Wisconsin or Washington or Minnesota?
I like Minnesota now. Remember in the beginning of the year, we were like, should we rank them because of all they had returning? They've finally shown that experience paying off a little bit. And The problem is you never know what's going to arrive for them. And it almost seems like Washington's the same way. I mean, they didn't arrive this week. And we'll talk about that later.
All right, so Brad says Iowa can win out. I agree, man. Iowa has the ability to win out, man, if they can stay at that record.
The problem with Iowa is just being one-dimensional like that. As long
this stretch is going to be interesting, though, man. There's so many teams that don't play each other that this is going to come down to a ranking, overall ranking at the end for.
Yeah, I know Oregon's going to be at Wisconsin. That's the game I'm picking for an upset for Wisconsin to win over Oregon. At least at the beginning of the season, I did.
Same. I did too, and people laughed my ass out the.
Yeah.
Out the comment section.
Did. Social media's got us on that one. And it was looking like a bad call. I even commented.
Because we picked them to beat Ohio State, and then we picked them to lose to Wisconsin. They were just lighting us up for that.
They were like, Wisconsin? What the hell are you talking about, boy? Well, just wait and see. All right. Well, we've got Maryland, UCLA, MSU, Northwestern, Wisconsin, and Nebraska left. All right. That's Iowa's schedule, apparently.
Yeah.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4.
There's two
at the end. Those two
at the end, man.
Woo.
Yeah, that's a little bit tough, man. But they can definitely win out, man.
I might try to go to that Iowa-Nebraska game at the end of the season.
I mean, look at Indiana's schedule. You want to talk about a schedule that's very manageable for Indiana until they play Michigan and Ohio State. But
if they can, there if you want to pop that,
they could be at one. They could be at one loss too, man. If they can get one of those two individuals,
teams.
Yeah, individuals, teams, whatever.
I keep saying people too when I mean teams. It's all
Same
good
thing.
with you. All right.
Well, man. I think it's time.
I think we what? Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it's time to pay some bills, man. We got to go commercial in here, man. Keep these lights on.
Pay some bills, and we'll talk about Penn State USC.
All right, let's get a little spicy in the comments because we about to bring Danos your way.
Yum, yum, get your some. Yum, yum, get your some. Yum, yum, get your some. Yum, yum, get your some.
Danos Seasoning, food's favorite flavor.
Yum, yum, get you some.
I'm Joe Burrito, your favorite burrito. Whoa, whoa.
Joe, we all know you're the best.
What?
But you can always do better.
What you got?
Try the new Danos Hot Chipotle.
Hey. Ooh, that's spicy. Yum, yum.
Yum, yum, get you some.
Welcome back, Big Ten backers. How we doing? We brought in a special guest, man, to talk about this overtime game for Penn State, man. They rally back, got that rally cap on, and they defeat the Trojans in overtime 33-30. Ryan Baker's 36-yard field goal lifted Penn State to 33-30 in this overtime win versus USC. We told you these overtime games and last second games were all over this college football Saturday. How we doing?
Brad,
good morning,
Big
gentlemen.
Ten and beyond. What's up,
Yeah.
man?
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Today. Good morning. Thanks for joining us so early in the morning.
Man, I got to tell you, I think myself and a lot of us are riding on a high after that, man. You know, we haven't seen an exciting, where you come out with a win like that for Penn State in a long time, you know, in a real high profile matchup. So it was good.
And some people might say it's USC. They've been playing terrible this year, but man, Drew Aller put it on his back. Warren put it on his back, and they came in a close game. They fought. They showed they have it. They showed that they're the type of team that's going to battle through adversity. They looked like they were going to get smoked on those first couple possessions. I mean, athletes in space, that fake handoff going all the way 75 yards. It just looked like, whoa, speed is killing Penn State right now. And then all of a sudden, Penn State battles back with the tenacity, the grit, man.
I'm going to hit you with that speed and talk about muscle, man. Warren, 17 receptions, 224 yards. This man was out there balling.
He was the best center in the game.
That was an awesome play. What's funny is I watched the highlights just a few minutes ago. Yeah. And in the beginning of the game, I'm like, dude, USC is just dusting us. Like what they were doing is and I was tweeting live at the games, watching the game saying, they're negating our powerful defensive line by going outside. They were just hitting the outsides with the speed, right? And
John Joyner, man. Woo.
Yeah. And I was concerned. Like you said, I was watching it, and they ran that fake reverse play. And it's funny, I used to coach flag football with my son, and I literally ran that play to win a title with my son in flag football years ago. That same play, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? And then Colton Ecke comes back and literally runs a flag football play to the center, Tyler Warren, for another. So it was it was pretty humorous.
All over the field, man.
It was wild seeing those guys, get creative.
I thought that was an interesting play because they put Branch as the fake, so he took everyone with him because Branch is just dynamic.
He's the guy, yeah.
But then Joyner, he looked like he was dynamic and just took it to the house, man.
You know, like you guys mentioned, a lot of people have been kind of, somewhat rightfully so maligning USC, right? And I've been saying, and you probably know, ever since the offseason, I thought this would be I thought Penn State would lose this game going on the road to, a surging USC. They're unpredictable. And for me, I thought their losses were closer than what they showed. The stats didn't look good for them, but I'm like, they have a ton of talent. They're fast and they have a lot of fight. They're backed into a corner. I'm like, this isn't going to be easy.
Wounded animal, man.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. And they, Penn State just, that tale of two halves. They came out in the second half and just dominated. And Drew Allar in the finality of that game, when we needed people to step up, like he was flawless. And I made a good post last night. It came down to, I hear people talking about referees, and I get it. There were stupid calls on both sides, and there were no calls on both sides, right? And we've seen that almost every big game this year. We've talked about it,
It's always going to happen. In any game, in a small game, it's going to happen. There's going to be some that go your way, some that don't.
And I look at it and I go, yeah, well, maybe it was over 200 yards given up to the tight end that they never adjusted for. Maybe it was in the clutch, Franklin on 4th and 7 going for it, and we make it. Right? Drew Allar makes the throw, and Julian Fleming from Ohio State, the transfer, makes the catch.
Yeah,
then on the same
drops, he had 2 drops before that, and then goes and snags one. Man, it was the hardest catch he had all day.
And then they come back on that same drive, 4th and 10. Franklin goes for it. Drew makes a throw. Fleming with another huge 4th down catch. So that was the game there. Like getting gutsy in all parts of the team.
Trusting Fleming, how about Drew Allar there? Be like, yo, that's my boy. He had 2 drops. One wasn't his fault. The other one was for sure. And just came right back to him, and he made the catch, man. When it mattered the most, they delivered.
It was wild. It was really wild, and they look solid. People were posting this morning, where do you think is going to happen with the rankings, because Ohio State lost to Oregon, right? And I get that USC isn't Oregon, but I try to be an objective fan. We try to be objective. And I look at it and I say, hey, you know what? Penn State has 2 Power 5 wins on the road. I know it's only West Virginia and USC, right?
And one at home.
Right? One at home.
A ranked team. Yeah.
So they got 3 Power 5 wins, 2 on the road. Ohio State just played their first Power 5, right? And lost. And then Drew Allar played flawless in that comeback. So I think Penn State has to jump OSU, just, objectively.
That's
obviously going to happen.
They play each other. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, leave the undefeated, especially when you have a resume like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. 3 weeks. We get the bye week now. Good timing. Then we got to go to Wisconsin. Don't want a trap game. Don't want to let up and have like a Bowling Green situation where you're struggling at the end. We want to be, just put Wisconsin away, and then we get the Ohio State Buckeyes in Happy Valley. So that's going to be, lights out.
Time for that game? Is that a big noon? That's big noon, isn't it?
That's probably ruin another one with big noon. But yeah.
All right, I got one question for you. I'm going to take you back to halftime, right? You said you came in. You're looking at this game as a loss prior to the season. So when they were down 20-6 at the half. What were you thinking? What's the mindset?
I went and poured myself another drink, and I said,
"This is gonna be a long one."
I said the old Brad would have started tossing the remote and threatening to turn off the TV and go outside. And I went out at halftime and I played soccer with my son during halftime. Cleared my mind, played soccer. So you know what? It's going to be great. You got to have faith. This team. And I came back in and I made a post that said, 2 things are going to happen. This is going to be the greatest flop by James Franklin of his tenure at Penn State. It's going to be a blowout, or it's going to be the greatest comeback. And, you know, we'll see what happens. And I wanted to be inspired, and that's, you know, exactly what happened. They put the game plan together. They came in, and when they needed we'll see it. We all watch all these games and we love it. Mm-hmm. And you'll see somebody make a clutch play, but when they needed multiple clutch plays down the stretch, the entire unit came through. There wasn't anybody that made a mistake. It was pretty phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, we are, man. Holy
yeah,
hell.
I mean, Aller and Singleton, man, after the half. Whew.
Yeah.
At halftime, you know, ironically, what I was thinking, I wrote it down in my notes. I was like, field goals do not win games. And ironically enough, the field goal won that game, man.
No, it was really wild. And what's crazy is that's our backup kicker, right? Ryan Barker, our original kicker, Sander Sadai. He's just mentally, he missed a few. He was pretty solid last year. You know, needed some improvement. This year started out just missing everything, you know, and it just really got in his head. And somebody said that they saw him at practice this week. He didn't even make the trip to LA. And they saw Sander at practice this week go for a kick and missed it. And he just put his head down and just like, he's just having a terrible time. So coach is like, you're benched. You're not going to LA. They put the left-footed backup in there, and he was perfect yesterday.
In the southpaw.
You know,
Hey,
my buddy's texting me.
Maybe
My
the
buddy's
Huskies should
texting
do
me.
the same thing.
Yeah, my buddy's texting me, Florida State fan. He's in a bar watching the Penn State game somewhere. I don't know. He travels a lot, and he's like, a left-footed kicker, really? He's giving me a hard time, right? And he got it done. So
yeah, he did.
Hey, no college kicker situation unless you're SC, right?
Yeah,
we got to get into some of those stats though. Aller turns it around in the second half. He really had a good first half too, but had a day to remember. Aller was 30 of 43 for 391 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Warren, man, 17 receptions, 224 yards, and that touchdown where he snapped the ball, went down the field on a flag football type play. Warren was open all day, played physical, and provided the spark needed to get this comeback, man. Ooh, he took
this game's got
him and Aller.
This game's got to stay in the Penn State memory bank for sure.
Yeah, it's an instant classic. I mean, Aller with the 2 picks. You know, you're talking about his how many passes attempted. This was the first game, and we thought it may be. Mm-hmm. This was the first game where it was like, all right, this is going to have to be a passing game. This is going to have to be on Aller. What's he going to do in a big situation, right? Because everybody went after him, how he performed as a first year against Ohio State and Michigan, you know, with the pressure. And he's got a completely different attitude this year, man. And, you know, yep. And a lot of people, and I think we talked about this, a lot of people thought Penn State was going to go in with the lines being mismatched and just run 200 yards, 250 yards with Allen and Singleton on USC. And that wasn't the case at all. We weren't running the ball well at all. They were stuffing that up. And it was good to see us be able to flip the script and throw the ball when we needed.
So as an outsider, I got to ask you for, you know, what you think about Ryan Day and Ohio State, and Day's not being able to win those big games. 1-7 versus top 5 teams, 0-2 versus Oregon, 2-4 in bowl games, 1-3 against Michigan, 0-3 against the SEC. I mean, Penn State fans have a lot of talking to do about James Franklin. What do you think about Ryan Day?
I think Ryan Day is probably only one check box ahead of James Franklin, right? Because James Franklin, people pick on him for not being able to beat top 10 teams, right? He's won some bowl games, Rose Bowl, right? I think the only team that James Franklin's really had issues with is Ohio State, right? So we get it as Penn State fans, where we've been tired of seeing our team lose in big games, top 10 teams, and it's going to be like a true match of who can finally break that top, losing the top teams when Penn State plays Ohio State. You have Franklin against Day in 3 weeks, right? And I just think that game last night and other games that I've seen, a lot of people will say in a tight win, they will say, well, we were close, but the talent level just isn't equal, right? Like Penn State isn't equal to, I don't know, Alabama, right? Okay. That's not the case.
Say that.
Right. And that's not the case with Ohio State. Like they literally have a $20 million like roster with the coaching and the players and everything else. So there's no way in God's green earth that it can have anything to do with talent. You look at it and it's, making the right calls, right? And putting yourself in a position to win. And I think it's come down in those tight games to leadership. And I think if Ryan Day, after doing what they did in this offseason to build what everybody has said, the best roster in college football on paper, right? Yeah. You can't then come in and lose to like Oregon and Penn State. Because Penn State's going to challenge. If he loses to Penn State, what happens to Ryan Day after all of what they did, Yeah. So,
hey, Jim Knowles, though, the $2 million defensive coordinator, these are the yardages that he's stacked up for his team against the top 5 games that they've played. 2022 Michigan, 530 yards. 2022 Georgia, 533 yards. 2023 Michigan, a respectable 338 yards. 2024 Oregon, 496 yards. Man, they just blow it. Jim Knowles is
they get gashed.
Defensive coach. They try to out athlete teams that are talent equated, and they can't do it.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And
jump down in this little rabbit hole again. Get back.
All right, we got to move on though, boys. We have a lot of football to talk about, and we're already at 21 minutes, so we got to sum this up.
All right, Penn State. What do you see them finishing?
Oh man, I always said
Ohio State at home.
We're going to beat Ohio State. I always said that I thought we would lose to USC on the road in a tough one, and it was close, and then come back and beat Ohio State at home. That's typically Penn State luck, right? Now with the way they played, it isn't because they beat USC. It's how they did it. It's the fact, the mental toughness. It goes, all right, this is the first time this team is really going to be tested. Down 20-6, I'm like, man, it's going to be tough. And they did it.
I'll say one thing. The difference is the matchup. The speed that Oregon had in space. I don't know if they have those receivers that can take them deep like that, where the corners are getting beat, where Burke's blowing plays left and right. I just don't know that they have the speedy receiver that can stretch the field against Ohio State like that. And they play bump and run. I mean, that's what Ohio State plays. They leave their cornerbacks on an island.
Yeah.
That'll be an interesting matchup. I just don't think I think that might be Penn State's only loss on the season.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have been predicting that, and if it happens, it's not going to be surprising, right? But
playoffs, right? Still,
right. But I think them coming into Happy Valley, and the way the defense has been playing, with Tom Allen's adjustment in the second half of games, and Colt Necky being creative, right? We may not have a speediest receiver against Ohio State, but he'll make something up with a tight end center play or something, right? So
sure.
I don't know. We either have one loss. I don't think this team, the way they're playing, fighting back, they're going to choke one away at the end to like Maryland or something like that. I think they're just too strong at this point and too focused. So I think it's really just going to come down to Ohio State game, man. So yeah.
Sounds good. All right, Brad. Thanks for joining us, man. Follow them, Big Ten and beyond.
We'll be definitely covering that,
especially on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Yep. See you. All right,
we got to get him back on.
We got to get moving,
back on for the Ohio State.
We got to get him back on for the Penn State. Some of these big Penn State games coming down the road. But anyways, man, we're talking about what happened yesterday, not what's happening in 3 weeks. So we got to get back to Ole Miss versus LSU, man. LSU takes down number 9 Ole Miss. Man, down the stretch, they had to get the 3-point victory at home, man. They had to come back. They win it 29-26 over the Rebels. Ole Miss controlled the opening quarter, but squandered multiple scoring chances. Trey Harris dropped a deep pass down the middle in the open field. Davis missed a 32-yard field goal, and Ole Miss could not cash in on defensive tackle. Jamarius Brown's interception of Nussmeier's batted pass because the Rebels failed to convert on 4th down. Man, just a bunch of mistakes for Ole Miss.
Jackson Dart, man, he was playing out of this world. Passed for 284 yards and a score. And Ulysses Bentley, the 4th, ran for a 50-yard touchdown on 4th down for Ole Miss. And then they suffered a serious blow to their hopes for winning a conference crown or even winning a college football playoff berth. Those 2 losses are hurting them now. Man, that Kentucky loss really hurts.
Yeah, super, super thin ice, man. Nussmeier, man, he said, I played bad, but we had a chance to win the ball game, and I had to focus on that. Nussmeier threw a tying touchdown pass to Aaron Anderson in the final seconds of regulation to take this into overtime. He knew he's playing bad, still came out and balled out to get his team the win.
Yeah, hit Kyron Lacey for a 25-yard pass, the winning score, the first lead of the entire game. Fans hit that field quickly, stormed it to celebrate. Nussmeier struggled most of the game, threw 2 interceptions, but man, when it mattered the most, hey, theme of the game, when it matters the most, or theme of our show, they came alive late to finish with 337 yards, 3 touchdown passes. 2 of those touchdown passes came on the last 2 snaps he took, man. Talk about winning it when it mattered the most.
Oh, no doubt about it, man. We're going to go a little bit more rapid fire in these games, but man, Ole Miss probably out of the college football playoff, really on thin ice. LSU survives. They're still in the hunt, but let's talk about South Carolina. Let's talk about some cocks. You know, sometimes you just got to talk about cocks. Sometimes you got to get the ruler out and just measure it, right?
Pull it out.
But anyways, Alabama hangs on to their trunks to survive despite the late maneuvers by those cocks. But Bama didn't choke on them, and they win this one 27-25. Alabama was pushed to the brink of a second straight SEC upset loss, but this time they survive and don't choke, which is weird because it's the cocks.
Yeah, 43 seconds remaining. Sellers hit Harbor for a 31-yard touchdown, but the Gamecocks failed to convert. Man, that pass flew right over his head. I mean, it wasn't even close. They went for the 2 right over his head. They recovered ensuing onside kicks, but Sellers' desperation pass toward the end zone with 13 seconds was intercepted at the goal line by the man Jackson himself.
Yeah, man, it was Alabama's 3rd straight game that went down to the very last second, having beaten Georgia 41-34 a couple weeks ago, and then they lose to Vanderbilt 40-35 last week. Milroe, man, he's good and bad. 16 of 23 passing for 209 yards with a touchdown. He also had 2 rushing scores, but man, he's been throwing up interceptions like crazy.
Yeah, that's September Heisman, man. Take that away.
Yeah. And then Sellers was 23 of 31 for 238 yards with 2 touchdowns, but he threw that final pick, man, like you said, when it matters.
It's a different season now for the Tide, man. They just are managing to hold on against okay teams. You got to give South Carolina the benefit of the doubt. They've been playing well this season. Got smacked by Kentucky, but they're a decent team. They got some fight. They got some oomph. They got some grit.
They do. All right, let's keep going, man. We had number 8 Tennessee at home versus their rival Florida, and they had to get another, just like the mood of Saturday, in overtime to survive. The Gators, but they win it 23-17. Graham Mertz left the game with a leg injury after throwing a 13-yard pass to tight end Boardingham early in the 3rd quarter, which gave the Florida Gators a 10-0 lead, and then things changed from there.
Dude, again, I was at a Pee Wee football game trying to watch this, trying to watch the game, trying to watch this, but with Mertz out, Tennessee rallied to score 17 straight, going up 17-10 on a 23-yard touchdown run by Sampson. Sampson had a game, man. 101 yards and 3 touchdowns for the Vols. He is the reason they won this game, dude.
Yeah, that's a day. Florida, man, they battled back, though. They had the lead. They gave it up. They tried not to just let that be it, but they came back, man. 17, they tie it. DJ Lagway hit receiver Dyke on a 27-yard TD pass with 29 seconds left to force the overtime.
Yeah, man, give me that Dyke all day. But in the extra session, Florida went backwards 4 yards from the 25-yard lines and smack pushed a 46-yard field goal, and the attempt went wide right, man. Oh, this was not on anyone's bingo card.
You gotta lay off the
Overtime
smack,
for Florida.
man.
Holy shit. Tennessee then drove it 25 yards in that overtime possession to win the game, scoring a 1-yard touchdown run by, you guessed it, Sampson, man. Dylan Sampson.
Oh, man, college kicker situation again. All right, man, let's go on. Let's go. Big Ten time. Big on big action. Let's go, baby.
Big on big. We kind of talked about this a little bit already, didn't we?
We did, but man, Minnesota versus another team from LA. In case you need directions, ask Coach Foster. He'll help you out. But they play two LA teams in consecutive weeks. And man, dramatic again. Gophers win 21-17. Max Brosner and Minnesota have another dramatic Hollywood ending when it comes to facing these LA teams, man. It was wild.
Oh, yeah. Hey, they did it again. They beat the town of LA. Delivered when it mattered the most. Hey, theme of the show. When it matters the most, the good teams win. Brosner completed 4 passes, including a 4-yard check down to Darius Taylor with 27 seconds remaining as Minnesota rallied for the 21-17 victory at the Rose Bowl. PJ Fleck was just excited to be there. Never been to the Rose Bowl. He was so excited about the win. He didn't care that it was close. He just wanted that W, baby, and they got it.
Yeah, man. UCLA looked like they were on the verge, man. They were going to finally get that Big Ten win, stop this losing streak, get one for Foster, and then Garber's hit that touchdown pass, 42 yards to Sturdivant with 6 minutes, 54 seconds left. Maybe the defense can hold on. Maybe we can get one for Coach Foster. Maybe he won't have to give out directions at Google Maps anymore, but it doesn't happen.
Hell no. Despite having no timeouts remaining, Brosner put the team on his shoulder, drove the Gophers 61 yards in 7 plays, man.
Another Big Ten comeback game, right? We talked about Penn State coming back. Minnesota trailed 10-0 at the half, but took the lead on a pair of touchdowns in the third quarter. Third quarter was the Gophers' quarter, baby.
Ethan Garbers threw for 293 yards as the Bruins lost their 5th straight and are still looking for that first Big Ten win. Oh, man, I feel bad for Foster and that team there, but it's rough, man. Their schedule has been terrible. It's been
absolutely
so
rough,
awful.
Man,
we talked about it, man. Before the season started, like the Big Ten did them no favors. They did themselves no favors. They might as well just close up shop and not have a football team anymore and become the University of Chicago. Well, it's looking like it.
All right, man. Let's go. Let's keep going, man. This one game, I'm a little bit shocked at. I actually thought this was going to be an entertaining game, but man, Iowa takes care of business, and they down Washington on the legs of Caleb Johnson, of course. Who else for Iowa? And they win this one 40 to the Huskies 16. Caleb Johnson rushed for 166 yards and scored not one beeve, not 2 beeve, but 3 touchdowns as Iowa defeated Washington. Johnson, man, 956 rushing yards on the season and 12 tutties. This dude.
Hey, you know what he said before the season? He said his goal was to have 1,200 yards rushing and 12 touchdowns. So he's met half the goal, and he is well on his way to the 1,200 yards rushing. Holy shit. It must have been all those Huck the Fuskies game day chants that helped them get this, man, because they definitely took down the Huskies big time. Ferentz moved into sole position of second place on the all-time Big Ten wins list, 5 behind my Buckeyes, Woody Hayes, and he's going to beat that shortly enough, and then he's going to retire. Iowa just dominated the trenches, and it shows that this college football matchup is just a matchup game. I mean, Iowa had no chance against Ohio State getting those runs to Caleb Johnson, but they just dominated against Washington. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, me either, man. Will Rogers, they came out in the first half. It actually looked kind of good, man. They tied the game at 7 in the first quarter. Then they took a lead with a 35-yard field goal with 29 seconds left before the halftime. But then, man, the Iowa defense just said, yo, we shutting this shit down.
Yeah, and that Iowa defense, what we expected from the beginning of the year came to play today. They shut the Huskies out for most of the second half, and were stopped 3 times on 4th down in the half as they tried to rally and get this game back. Wasn't happening. Good job, man. Good job to that defense. That Hawkeye defense came to play, baby.
They put a little Hawk 2 on it. That's for damn sure.
Hawk 2, spit on that thing.
All right, man. Let's talk about my Badgers, boy. Wisconsin is on Wisconsin. Either way, they got it figured out, baby. They're on Rutgers like white on rice on a paper plate with a glass of milk and a damn snowstorm, man. And this time it wasn't one in Madison. This was a snowstorm we put on them Jersey boys. Badgers 42, Knights 7.
Man. Holy
Wisconsin, man.
I'm surprised you didn't put any cheese curds or sausages in there.
You know, I should have. But, man, Wisconsin is starting to play its best football. Did they just find themselves? Did they discover their balls for the first time? Now that they're not going to leave their room for 3 or 4 days in a row. But, man, Rutgers, what is going on with Rutgers, man? I felt like they were a team to beat, a team to kind of take a little serious this year, and then, boom, 2 losses in a row, man.
Yeah, Cali Lickamayanus deserves his nickname today. Oh, holy hell. But for the Badgers, Walker ran for a career best with Malusi out, 198 yards, scored 3 touchdowns, and Wisconsin dominated both sides of the ball for the second straight week. I think they found themselves. I think they shaved a little bit, did a little trimming, and now they know where their balls are at.
Something's going on, man. Walker's career high.
Remember, we talked about it. And everyone gave you shit. We talked about it earlier too. Wisconsin, playing at Wisconsin, they're going to be a rough team now. I think they found their identity. They know what they want to be. Watch out. Watch out going to Madison.
Yeah. Speaking of Walker, man, career high previous to this game was 146 against Kansas State when he played for Oklahoma last year. And this game, dude, he had touchdowns on 2 yards, 9 yards out. And my boy got himself a 55-yard touchdown too, man.
Yeah, Brandon Locke threw for 240 yards and a touchdown and ran for another. Monungai, the defending Big Ten rushing champion from last year, was limited to 72 yards. And your man, Ethan Kaliak-Manis, or Cali Lickamayanus as we call him, was 12 of 32 for 103 yards and 1 interception. Whew, he had a Lickamayanus type of day.
He did, man. On Wisconsin, baby. Let's keep rolling, though. Let's keep rolling. I'm proud of my Badgers. All right. Northwestern throttles the Terps on their home field. Northwestern 37, Maryland 10. Man, I tell you, Beav, every time Maryland gets in the Big Ten play, they just fall apart. I have to tell you every year. But, man, Jack Lausch and Cam Porter rushed for first half touchdowns for the Wildcats. Billy Edwards Jr. rushed for a touchdown for Maryland. And Maryland, dude, committed a season-high turnovers. 4 turnovers in this game for Maryland.
Dude, this stat is mind-blowing. They dropped their 10th consecutive game after a bye. That streak goes back all the way to 2017. What the hell are they doing on bye games, man?
I guess going to the beach, man. I don't know, getting fat on crab cakes, I guess. I don't know.
They're doing something, and it ain't right.
That is a wild stat, dude. No more bye weeks for Maryland. Take them out of the schedule.
Yeah, back to back. Let's go. Come on.
Maryland trailed 17-10 early in the fourth quarter when Edwards was blindsided by defensive tackle Bastone and lost the possession. Defense and Hubbard, your boy's little brother, returned a fumble recovery for a touchdown in the fourth quarter. And did Northwestern not just pull away from there? They fucking hit the gas pedal and was gone.
Yeah, it was the first of not 1, not 2, but 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter. 3 turnovers in the fourth quarter. I think I need to say that a third time. Three turnovers in the fourth quarter alone, Northwestern outscored Maryland 20-3 in the final 15 minutes, with 17 points coming off of those takeaways. Dude, that is how you lose a game. Give your balls away.
That's not just losing the game. That's how you get spanked.
Damn.
Spanked, man.
I think I heard a stat that the last 4 games of the Big Ten on the schedule last night were decided by 4 points. So Illinois,
dude, I'm telling you, this weekend lived up to its
Oregon.
hype. A lot of people had this week circled in the offseason, dude, and it lived, man. It lived up to the hype.
Yeah,
across the Big Ten, across the SEC, you name it.
Yeah. This was a big week.
Big 12, too. The Big 12 definitely had some good games as well. Let's get into some of those Big 12 games. First, we'll hit an SEC one. But, man, let's get into those Big 10 backers quickies. You know I love a quickie. You love a quickie. Who doesn't love a quickie? Sometimes you just got to get it in when you get it in, baby.
Hey, we're doing quickies right now, or are we getting into around the landscape?
Well, quickies, but landscapes, a little same at the same time. So we'll hit 3 games we'll talk about a little bit, and then we'll just hit the top 25 for quickies. But these are all kind of quickies.
Okay, let's make everything quick.
All right, man.
I hate that.
Trimming the landscape quickies. Number 1, Texas smothers the Sooners in the Red River rivalry with a massive
I like rivalry
win.
better than shootout. It rings better.
Red River Shootout. You're right. It should be Red River Shootout. That's an error on my part.
They changed
you don't like
it.
shootout?
I don't know why they changed it from
It's because
rivalry to shootout.
Oh, I can tell you because one involves guns and everybody's soft as fucking marshmallows these days. But anyways, they win this one.
They changed it to the shootout instead of rivalry.
No, they changed it from the shootout to the rivalry.
No, whatever. Let's go. We knew this.
But anyways,
game was
they
going to
win
be the
34-3. It wasn't that good. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it. But man, Oklahoma's defense started off hot. Ethan Downs brought Ewers down for a sack on the game's first offensive play. 3 plays later, man, Oklahoma's safety Billy Bowman. That sounds like a guy from Oklahoma. Picked off Quinn Ewers and on a pass, and they get the ball in Texas territory. It looked like Oklahoma's was up for the pace, man. And they held Texas to no first downs and 13 yards in the first quarter. This kind of looked like this game was about to live up to the hype beat, but tell me why it didn't, and tell me about Texas.
Well, you got to think of Quinn Ewers coming back off of injury. He was struggling, that abdomen strain. He did throw for 199 yards, and he was struggling, but finished. That's where it matters. Struggled to start. He was a little rusty. Finished 20 of 29 passing. Wisner, the running back, Quintravion ran for 118 yards and a touchdown for the Longhorns. He did have a terrible fumble, but it went into the end zone and was recovered by teammate Silas Bolden for a touchdown. Holy hell. Good on him, man. Right place, right time. Both those scores came just before half, and they took the 21-3 lead, and it was all Texas from there. Longhorns, baby.
Round of applause for Oklahoma for sticking around for 1 quarter. We're proud of you. Good job, Cooners. You made it a ball game for 7 seconds. Good job.
All right. But Utah couldn't do that, right?
Yeah, Utah, no, not so much, man. Utah could not.
Took themselves out of the playoff race, I think.
Oh, they're done, man. They couldn't take the heat from the Sun Devils, and boy, they get bounced by Arizona State 27-19. Arizona State 5-1, beef. 5-1. I think everybody kind of slept on this team, including me and you. Not slept with, slept on. Okay, let's just keep it PG.
Let's differentiate that.
They're off to their best start since 2019, man. 5-1, and notched its biggest victory under their current coach, Dillingham, man. Cam Scabato had a lot to do with that, man. This bulldozer, man, he was just plowing everything. 158 yards, 2 touchdowns. Watch out, cheerleaders.
Sleeping on. He's plowing. The Utes had chances, man. Cam Rising coming back. This is what you'd expect, man. Cam Rising has been everyone's darling. When he's in the game, he finds a way to win. Well, guess what? When it mattered the most, he did not. He was extremely ineffective, limited by that hand injury, and in the first quarter, leg injury that limited him the rest of the game. Couldn't do it, man. I feel so bad for this dude. It's just injury after injury after injury. The seventh-year senior threw 3 interceptions and finished 16 of 37 for 209 yards. Damn, Rising. Ha.
Yeah.
His last name should be Downing because everything about him is a downer.
Man, I love this guy, man. When he was in his prime, God, he was one of my favorite backs to watch.
It was fun to watch. And that's what everyone, the college football nation, wanted to see that, man. Utes Nation definitely wanted to see that. But it's just not happening for him this year.
No, doesn't seem to be, man. Injury after injury, like you said, man, and couldn't even get this year started without one. And took another injury in this game. But anyways, let's move on, man. Kansas State. Ooh, this game, I thought Kansas State was going to run off with it, but I was a little wrong, B. Number 18, Kansas State holds on to the lead like a fat kid holding on to a popsicle in the summertime. But they take down Dion 31-28 regardless.
Avery Johnson, man. All-world Avery Johnson rebounding from throwing a late interception when he threw to Brown for a 50-yard touchdown with 214 remaining. Kansas State escaped with a 31-28 win over Colorado. Johnson, the everything quarterback for the Wildcats, finished with a rushing score and 2 passing TDs, both to Brown. DJ Giddens couldn't be stopped. Man, he rushed for 182 yards? 182 yards on 25 carries. I thought the Buffaloes were going to get waxed in this game too. They have found themselves after that Nebraska loss, and they're looking like a pretty damn good team. 4-2.
They are, man. Now they had something happen that may affect that, but the Buffaloes, man, like you said, they were on a 3-game winning streak. That came to a halt. But more concerning, man, Hunter. The health of Hunter, he went down in this game, hurt his shoulder, did not return. I hate to see it, man. Obviously, everybody knows Hunter. He's playing defense. He's playing offense, man. He got hurt. Yep, exactly. He got hurt on a pass from Shedeur Sanders. He got hit by Daniel Cobbs coming from the middle, full speed, man. Smacked him right in the shoulder. Hopefully he comes back. Hopefully he gets healthy real quick. Shedeur Sanders, man, he balled out in this game. 34 of 40 for 388 yards and 3 scores, man. He completed a school best 16 straight passes and nearly had a 17th in a row. But it was dropped by Will Shepard. But in the end, we can talk about the stats and what his yards is and how good they look, but it didn't matter. They didn't get the W, man.
Hey, man, this got me thinking, could Nebraska and Colorado face each other again in a bowl game at the end of the season? How cool would that be? Because they're both on pace to go bowling, at least, in a decent bowl game at that.
Yeah, that would be kind of interesting. I could go with that. All right, Beef.
Yeah.
Time to get around the landscape. Quickies, man. We're going to hit these quick, man. We're just going to talk about the top 25.
Do
but
we need to give the dogs some love first or what?
You know, we probably could give the dogs some love. You're probably right.
Man, they put this on for us. Dogs Media Network, baby. Join us.
Let's go, man. Hey, this show is brought to you by...
They got a good pregame show, too.
They do. This show is brought to you by College Football Dogs TV, man. They got a great college football show on Saturday mornings. Check it out. There's a list of college football podcasts covering the SEC, covering the Big Ten, covering the Big 12. Man, they even cover the Sun Belt, baby.
On the College Football Dogs website, you'll find a main page that features some of our biggest and newest stories. Our conference pages for content related to your favorite team's conference. Our team store, where we have products that are available all year long, as well as gear available for a limited time only. Our podcast page, where you can see when one of the 12-plus College Football Dogs podcasts is streaming live on social media. Our subscription page, where you can join our Discord. If you're interested in becoming a contributor at College Football Dogs, email us at info@collegefootballdogs.com. If you enjoy any College Football Dogs content, we really do appreciate any donations you can make by visiting the donate page on our website or scanning the QR code here.
College Football Dogs, for the fans.
Welcome
For the
back to
fans.
Dog TV for the fans, baby. You got to go check out College Football Dogs morning show on Saturday, man. They cover it all, boy.
Sorry,
But
I had to
anyway,
make you do
man,
that. My ADD was kicking in. I had to stand up, man. I can't sit for very long.
I'm glad you reminded me. I was in hurry mode. I felt like we got a little lost in the sauce.
No, we good, man. If
We
we
like
go a little
talking
long,
ball,
that's,
baby. We
that's
like
just more
talking ball.
content for people, baby.
All right, man. Around the landscape quickies. If you haven't done so already, grab yourself a beer. I got me Guam's local brewery, Paco Punch. You know, you got to get a good beer in you. When it comes to Sunday mornings, you know, hair of the dog for all you
What's
late
in that?
night college football. It is, man, you're going to make me read this. Kettle
Hell
sour
yeah, I am.
with hibiscus and ginger. So it's a hibiscus and ginger beer.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty solid, man.
Flavorish.
Pretty solid.
I just have coffee and Maker's Mark. That's my style.
You know what? I had Maker's Mark. I was on the fence, but those beers were just kind of staring at me like lone little puppy dogs in the fridge when I opened it up.
Oh, yeah.
So I went and grabbed those. But let's talk about dogs, man. Lonely puppy dogs. Let's talk about number 5 Georgia. They play a sluggish game against another Bulldog team because there's not a lot of variety when it comes to names in the SEC. Everybody's dogs are Tigers. But anyways, they win this one 41-31.
Oh, man. And the Wildcats is basically a Tiger, too, just to throw that out there. So, number 10, Clemson taking care of Wake Forest with ease, 49-14. Clemson is not going away. They are looking like a strong team when they play against nobodies.
I feel like everybody's kind of forgotten about Clemson, but they're just kind of hanging out in the shadows, baby.
Let's see it when they get a big game, though. Let's see what they got.
All right, says the Buckeye fan. Number 11, Notre Dame.
Shit, fuck you, dude.
Number 11, Notre Dame unearths the trees or the cards, you know, whatever your preference is. I like to call them the trees. You can call them the cards if you want to. But anyways, they get their ass whooped 49-7.
Number 11, Iowa State still taking care of business, remaining undefeated against West Virginia 28-16. Cyclones in the house, baby.
I thought West Virginia might have had a little something for them, but I was wrong. I was
Speaking
way
of
wrong.
undefeated teams, who else we got?
Man, I'm telling you, people are sleeping on BYU, man, and you should always sleep on the Cougars. I mean, not sleep on the Cougars, whatever. They take down the Wildcats of Arizona, man. Arizona's a pretty good team. They put them down 41-19.
Yeah, the Mormons are fighting, dude. Number 21, Boise State takes down Hawaii. I don't think Boise State's rated 21 anymore. Didn't they move up?
I looked at the AP poll when I built this. So.
Oh, did you? All right. I thought they moved up.
Or no, they were 17. You're right. I messed up.
Yeah.
That was a goof on my end.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Correction. Number 17, Boise State takes down Hawaii 28-7.
All right, man.
What
Let's
does
talk about
Missouri
Missouri. Missouri, man. I don't have their ranking. Totally slipped that on the notes. But anyways, Missouri, they enjoy a cupcake from Massachusetts.
I think they were 23rd, if I remember correctly.
35-3. I believe you are right.
All right. Despite going scoreless in the second half, Pitt remains undefeated after surviving Cal 17-15. I really thought Cal was going to knock them off, man. After last week in that Miami game, they were looking strong. Cal's a good team. Just barely lost 17-15. Damn.
Yeah, man. I feel bad for Cal because, man, they're in every game. They're super competitive. They're super good. Their record does not reflect how good this team is. And if you're sleeping on the Bears and you got them on your schedule, you about to find out. Because either they're going to beat you, give your team a heart attack. One of the two. One of the two is coming.
Fuck around and find out with those Cal Bears.
All right, man. Any final thoughts on Week 7? I think we covered everything that we're going to cover, man.
Those undefeated teams, man, we got to talk about them.
So that's
who's left?
Who's left, man? So we had what undefeated team do we have to go down? Just remind me. Oh wait,
I can't think of
Buckeyes.
One. Can't think of any. Not that I want to mention. Big game. Ryan Day loses it again, and Jim Knowles gives up historic yardage. 400. What was it? 497 yards, something like that.
Yep.
Damn it.
Huge game for the Ducks, man. I know you're talking about from a disappointing end because you're a Buckeye fans, but man, huge win for the Ducks. They're in the Big Ten. This is their first big game in the Big Ten. They take down Ohio State. Now,
Gabriel for Heisman. Get those billboards out in New York right now.
you know they're coming, man. Oregon doesn't play when it comes to advertisements, man.
So what do we got left? We got Army, Navy, Miami, Pitt, BYU, Iowa State, Liberty, Penn State. You still left Ohio State on there. Cross that off. Thanks. That was for dramatic effect. Oregon, Indiana, and Texas. Holy shit. So three Big Ten schools. Three Big Ten schools. The funny part about this, or the maybe not so funny part about it, is Army, Navy. If they remain undefeated and play each other at the end of the season, it's after the college football playoffs is selected. I don't know what we're doing about that, but the nation cannot leave Army and Navy out and not even give them the chance. I think Boise State's got it wrapped.
They both play Notre Dame. I bet you Notre Dame, when they built this schedule and they play them every year. They're like, oh, cool, Army and Navy, cool. Just put that on the schedule. No big deal. No sweat. Now they're like,
oh shit. That's another possible loss for Notre Dame. Notre Dame looked good though.
They did. They've rebounded since they lost a game they shouldn't have, for sure.
Yeah, they didn't let Purdue go into overtime with them. That's for damn sure.
Yeah. Final thoughts, man. For me, teams are starting to get on thin ice, man. We're halfway through the season pretty much, and you're talking about teams getting eliminated, teams surviving. I mean, we've seen LSU survive, and they're still in the bid for the playoffs. You've seen Ole Miss probably get removed. You've seen Utah probably get removed. Now the Buckeyes are going to be on thin ice.
SC, those Trojans are out the damn door.
Oh yeah, those Trojans busted a couple weeks back.
Yeah, whew. Man, good on Penn State, but that's tough for the Fighting Lincoln Rileys.
Yeah, Alabama survives yet another week to hold on to a potential playoff berth.
And man, Indiana's still hanging there in the shadows. Like, I know they're rated, but Rourke's got to get some love at Heisman.
Dude, that Nebraska at Indiana game next week, we'll find out what Indiana's all about.
Sold out. I saw something that said like Indiana was advertising it sold out, and someone commented on X. They were like, "Yeah, thanks to the Husker fans." But I mean, there's some magic going in Indiana. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. That Nebraska defense versus that Indiana offense, I'm ready to give it a go, Beef.
Yeah, they're going to get tested for the first time. We'll see that.
All right, Beef, get us on out of here.
Thank you all, Big Ten backers. You got to go. Got to go check us out. Get us on Facebook. Give us a subscription on YouTube. We're just now trying to build YouTube because we didn't care about it in the first season, obviously. And we cared about Facebook. We got Facebook built. Twitter's starting to be built big. So comment on there. Join us on anything. Give us a subscription. Give us a like. Share it with your friends. Give us a negative rating if you want to. We'll respond to it. Hey, we got some merch coming for the first time. Got some hats coming. They're going to be in limited supply. So if you want one, they're going to be here this week. Got it posted on Facebook. Nowhere else yet. But Big Ten backers, we're out. We're saving half of those hats, though, for commenters and people that comment on our show. So if you want one, get on there and we might send one out to you. Thank you. God bless. Big Ten backers are out, baby.
Do the Iowa wave.
Let's go, let's go. Purdue sucks. But so does Michigan and Ohio State.
Love you, man. I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio, and it's always been Ohio against the world.
Who taught you how to fight? Who taught you how to be a warrior?
I hate playing against these guys. I hate playing them.
Like, you're making me uncomfortable. Like, I don't.
You better get me right now.
They're fighting for clicks, we're fighting for wins. Right? This game ain't going to be played in Hollywood.
We're in LA. It's us and USC.
We are at the top of the Big Ten Conference. I mean, we're at the top of any conference. I don't ever look at ourselves below anybody. We are
best there is, plain and simple. I mean, I wake up in the morning, I piss excellence.
Sure you get some of that NIL money that he's sharing with Dan Lanning, but sure you get.
There's some things going on that aren't right as well, so we'll talk about how to handle it. really 2 or 3 beers or 4. I've probably done that 1,000 times in my life.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Love you, man.